John, as you look at technology, this year just ripped. Secular growth story, solid earnings, no reason not to buy technology, apart from maybe some of the multiples in other places. For you, next year, does it change?
I think it does, and I think the Morgan Stanley line about tech can still work, just probably not as well. It's basically been a double to the rest of the market this year, and that just is a pace you cannot continue with. Where I think the opportunity is in tech next year is actually overseas. We've seen, some of the Asian tech stocks do extremely well, and we think valuations, a combination of it being a less crowded trade, it's also very much a secular growth story. A lot of people have called Alibaba sort of the Amazon of Asia, and I would argue that's unfair, right? They're a competitor, if not a leader in that space. Same with some of the other big names over there. So I think there are plenty of opportunities. It's not just a U.S. story, it's also an international story.
Jim, your thoughts on EM Tech?
Yeah, I would agree with what John was saying. Just emphasize that really what's been screaming higher this year has been tech in emerging markets like China, as John has mentioned as well, too. And that's so much so that if you look at the emerging market indexes, most people would think, well, they correlate with commodities. Actually, they've been correlating with tech because there's a lot more opportunities, I think, in emerging markets with tech, which is why those stocks have been taking off. Look, when you take somebody from bad to good, there's a lot more opportunity when you take them from excellent to very excellent, like you would be doing in the developed world. So emerging markets has been a good place for tech, and I think it will continue to be.
For a lot of people, they're looking out to next year, Jim, and if there's a headwind, it's regulation, 1, and 2, rotation. The prospect for more regulation for these tech companies and the prospect that investors move away from the growthy type stories in techs and move towards the more value type stories in the financials. As you look at regulation and rotation, what is the biggest headwind for you?
I think it would definitely be regulation. And it's not going to be regulation out of the U.S. The Trump administration has already made it very clear and is very happy with the rollbacks and actually, by some metrics, record rollbacks that we've seen in regulation. But I do think that in the rest of the world, the dominance of tech, especially of American tech companies, is going to probably get regulators to start sniffing around on them. They already are, but I think that there's going to be a lot more of that as they move forward. Regulators are going to get very nervous about things they don't understand, and a lot of them don't really understand a lot of the technology and the dominance that they have.